Hey up, how do, and welcome to episode 2 of today's Loose Lips. This is feature 5 and we are in series 2. So it's crazy to think that. It blows my mind to think we're in series 2. Series 2, we're halfway through series 2 already, and the lady that I'm about to welcome to the chat now is Laura Bartlett. So let's have another natter with this lovely. Ooh, drum roll. Second. See if we can connect again. As well, if anyone has any pointers or questions I'd like to put to us, let us know. Let us know. Hey, hello.
Hi, you alright?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Can't complain when the weather's like this.
Mate, I'm loving the shades. I'm loving the look.
I'm
You look
out.
like you could be a head candy lass.
Well, yeah, maybe one day.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. First, I want to congratulate you. I know there's massive congratulations to be said, because you're the first guest to be second to appearances, multiple appearances on Loose Lips.
That's it. My life goals have been achieved.
That's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's it. Sunshine and 2 outings on Loose Lips.
Living the dream.
No, but on back of that, I heard there were a little thing about Forbes as well.
Yeah, I've been asked to join the Forbes Business Council. So there's 1,000 people around the world who are business owners who've been asked to form like an international council. So we'll be traveling on panels around the world for Forbes and creating content for them online, and it's pretty cool.
It's well cool. It's like second to Loose Lips, second appearance. Obviously, I understand, but no, other than that, that's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I just got a call. I got an email from them a couple of weeks ago, and then I spoke to them on the phone. But a few years ago, I was shortlisted for Forbes 30 under 30. But I never made the final list because I turned 31. But I think I was just on the radar ever since then. And then, yeah, they reached out, told me about this, and that's what's happening.
Do you know, like, that's such a mad, like, thought is, like, Forbes, been on Forbes' radar is huge. Like, you know, the fact that they've still, like, kept a tab. And then not only just kept a tab, but then gone, actually, she's still smashing this. Let's bring her involved. Like, that's startling, that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And I think as well, because like, we're in the midst of a global pandemic, I think people think opportunities have dried up, but just proves that there's still opportunity out there and amazing things can still happen despite what's going on in the world.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you bring that up, and see, this is going to lead to our mentorship, because I feel like you've just like struck a chord with me there, because there's an agent that I want to be signed to, and like, you don't know if this is the right time, if they're going, but it's the right time. That like everyone's just proper chill. It's the right time that people can go through stuff. So I might actually just send more stuff off. You've inspired me.
You should do it. And if everyone's thinking like you, then it means no one's reaching out. And if you do, then you're going to stand out more.
This is it. This is it. This is it.
Application done.
That's it. Like, yeah, you could be my agent. Like, when give me an article in Forbes, like this up and comer. Oh, look. But no, like, so straight away you've gone into the area that I wanted to focus on. So anyone who's joined, we spoke with Laura a couple of weeks ago, and it was about House of Cocoa, and you had to shoot. You had a meeting, didn't you? And I felt there was just so much more that I wanted to speak to you about, and we can definitely. I think House of Cocoa will interweave with where we're at, but one of the things that I wanted to focus more on this was like your mentoring and your public speaking, and because you are a proper like positive figure, and you had a few like taglines that stuck out and stuff. So you know, how do you even get into that world? Because I can see me as being a bit of a Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I remember I first kind of got into self-development years and years ago. I think my first ever stint was when I was about 19, 20. I read The Secret, which
Yeah.
a lot of people are only just talking about now. So I read The Secret, or like 14, 15 years ago. And that's when I went on this journey of like self-development and mindset and stuff like that. But then about 8 years ago, I got involved in network marketing, and all that is about is kind of creating a community of people, creating a team, but it was all about positive mindset and all about personal development. Tony Robbins was a speaker at one of the events, and that's when I like really got into it and started reading more books around self-development. And it's just like an ongoing process, really.
I think that, so I'm a spiritual brother, but I feel that there's a lot of like similarities between positive mindset and how I view my spirituality, even though that people might not see the two. And it is all about what you feed your mind is what you're able to conceive.
Yeah,
But
like we have time that thoughts become things, and people don't get that, but it literally means that whatever you think is what you will become. And it's true. If you wake up with a thinking, you know, I'm amazing, today's going to be a good day, I'm going to have success, then guaranteed it will happen. But if you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm in a bad mood, I've got out on the wrong side of the bed, today's going to be shit, then that is what's going to happen as well. It's like literally your thoughts will depict your reality.
well, you see, this is where, so I watched The Secret. I had the DVD, as well, mate. And the DVD was all right, but like, I think anything, when it's a book, you read it with your own like voice, and I felt the book like made a lot more sense to me. But one thing that really like threw me with it, and I don't know if it's a cynical edge to me because I'm fully about that life and I'm fully about The Secret, but it were almost like, if you think about that Lamborghini, you will get that Lamborghini. And it's like, yeah, but you've got to still graft to get there. And I think sometimes it gives that carrot, like, where you're just like, why aren't you doing it? Why are you going to work? Oh, I'm thinking about a Lamborghini. You know, yeah. Like, I think it takes away sometimes the hard work of what goes in behind the scenes. And, you know, you mentioned in our first chat about what happened with your first enterprise with because of like the closed show stall thing that happened, and obviously how you switched it and stayed upbeat. I think the secret, or what you did, was remaining upbeat in the air of like of shit, basically. Yeah. You know, I think that's the difference. I think it's the mindset of things are going to happen, but it's how your mindset is to cope with them. And I think sometimes what's put out there is that it's not that. I think it's got to be all great, and then when it ain't great, you get down on yourself because it's like, I think this, and it's not that. I think there has to be a process. So I wonder, after that long rabble of chat that I just gave you, how you decipher that.
Well, I think that it's all about perspective. So when things happen to you, bad things happen to you, it's about keeping things in perspective. So like you were saying, when I said about the clothes show and I lost all the money and the business went under, and you know, so many people have said to me, oh, how did you pick yourself up after that? I would have just quit. It's like, yeah, but what does quitting mean? Going and getting a job? Whereas what I did is I kept things in perspective. Yeah, that company had failed. Yeah, I'd lost my money. Yeah, I was down and out for a time, but I was healthy. I had a family that loved me, and I still had a roof over my head. So you keep things in perspective. Then when the shit hits the fan, then you'll realize that these things are not actually that bad. And it's all part of the process. And I think I was speaking to someone the other day about this, and I think that the internet kind of portrays these stories of success, and they don't sort of show the failures along the way. And I think failure is seen as a negative thing. And I think it's our job to kind of break down that stigma that actually failure is just part of the process, and it's not something to be embarrassed about. And we will all fail before we succeed.
I think you've nailed that. I think really you shouldn't be embarrassed, but it's almost like a culture where it is viewed as an embarrassment, but you should be applauded for taking the risk, really. And that's how I think the shift of it should be. I think that, you know, when we're coaching people to go for their own passions or develop it, it's like, what's the worst that could happen is it doesn't work. Like, at least you give it a go, but then you'll give it a go and you'll find the way to make it work.
Exactly. And I think some people, what they do is when they set out on these businesses, to think about all the best things that could happen and all the things they want to achieve, and they set these massive goals. And then someone said to me, oh, you know what I did? I actually wrote down what the worst is that could happen. And I wrote down, I could lose my house, I could lose my money, I could lose this. And then I thought about all the things I would do if those things happened, and realized that no matter how bad the things were, that I would find a way to get over them. And then that sort of helped that person realize that the worst that could happen, it didn't matter, because I'd still be able to get over it.
You know, that's incredible. That's such a sense of wisdom. But going back to the secret, if you think those thoughts, then that's what's going to happen. And that's where I sort of differ with, because I think that you need to have a practical side of perception, but maybe practicality of, right, this could happen, this could happen. And then you make almost like a view of how to move forward based on that. I think that's like sensible. I've never ever in my 36 years of life classed myself as sensible, and that's the first time I've realized that I'm quite sensible. But do you know what I mean by that? I think you have to be pragmatic with it. And so when you're mentoring, how do you get people to, I mean, are you mentoring them to overcome their own fears, or are you giving them advice? Like, how does it play a role?
The people that I work with usually are kind of like startup businesses. So I was a mentor for NatWest for a few years, and that was with businesses that I'd literally just started out, and it was kind of helping them go from idea to inception, and then working out how to make money for the first like 6 to 12 months. And the thing that I found with most people was they were sort of scared, and also sort of helping people transition from being a full-time job to turning the side hustle into their business, and being able to leave the job. And the thing that I found most was that people thought that they needed to achieve more than they did in order for it to be a full-time thing. So for example, someone would say, oh, I can't leave my job until I've got, 50 clients and I'm making £10,000. And then I just sort of break it down and say, well, how much are you earning now? And say they were earning £2,000 a month, so like £2,000 a month. Well, what are you offering? And then create a package and a service that costs, say, £500. And then how can we find 4 people in this whole world willing to pay you £500 a month to replace the income that you've got? And then go out and find those 4 people who would commit to 12 months, and then they replace their income within a week. And it was those little
You think it sounds so simple?
But it is. And I think as well, like, some people, there is a whole world out there. Like, you start a business these days and you can have clients in the middle of wherever, the middle of China, the middle of Africa, whatever, with the internet and social media now. Some people just think that they'll start a business in Leeds, it means they can only attract people from Leeds. But you can start a business in Leeds and attract people from all over the world. And when you're thinking about the world and finding people to buy your services, and you break it down that you only need 4 people to replace your full-time income, then it makes it all much, much simpler. I think people overcomplicate it when it comes to like starting out in business, and actually it doesn't have to be that complicated.
I think you're right. I think it's the unknown, isn't it? It's the unknown. It's the uncertainty. It's like, look at this time, for example, if you're self-employed or if you're your own business owner, you might not be furloughed, or you might not have that support, and you're the person at the top of the pyramid helping everybody else. Whereas if you are employed, you do have that security where you know that you might get 8% of your wage, or, if it's a sick day. So I think there's those things, and responsibilities. I think responsibilities for people are a huge one if you've not got any offspring or a mortgage or anything like that. So these things do get in the way. But when you move all of them away, surely the main thing should be what fulfills you. And I think that's like stripping everything back. That's at the root core of any entrepreneur, really, is that fulfillment.
Yeah, fulfillment. And like, for me, it's just like, what makes me happy. So I always say, like, write a list of things that make you happy. Write a list of things that you do every day. Compare the two and adjust accordingly. You've got to make sure that every single day you're doing things that make you happy. Like, for me, running my own business and having the freedom to do that was all about having fun, being able to live life on my terms. So it's like, remember why you started and make sure it makes you happy. And if it gets to the point that it's not making you happy, then you have to stop.
Does it have to stop, or do you have to bring it back to...
Strip it back and basics and then evolve and change. And I think with everything that's been going on in the world right now, a lot of businesses have been forced to pivot and make changes. But I think that's sort of a process that we should go through all the time anyway. Every few months, whether you've got a business or just life in general, just kind of sit and reflect and think, actually, is this how I want to live my life? Is this what I want to do moving forward? Are the changes that I need to make?
I think you're right.
And keep yourself in check.
I think you're right. I mean, have you ever felt it where you've gone, it's shifted from the outset of what you want it to be? Because like you say, you've got to adapt, you've got to evolve, but you don't want it to lose its authenticity. So have you felt a time where it's gone to one way and you've had to bring it back?
Well, because I love business and like startups, and that's kind of like my jam. That's what makes me buzz. So House of Cocoa obviously started out as a travel magazine. That's always what it's been about. And then a couple of years ago, I realized that my passion lies in business and female entrepreneurship. And what I tried to do was try to like change the path for House of Cocoa and make us more into like a careers-based magazine where we still did travel, but the travel was linked to entrepreneurship. So it'd be things like where to have a retreat around the world, or where to go to switch off from your business or whatever. And then after sort of trying to implement that for a few months, I just realized that that's my individual passion and that's something I should work on separately, and House of Cocoa should just remain as a travel magazine.
I felt that, as you were saying that though, that all made sense, and I think that's a real good niche. But like you say, does that alienate a lot of your potential custom then?
Yeah, and it also alienated the team of contributors that I built as well, because like the business side of it, that's my passion, that's my personal thing. And I've got this team of like 50 contributors around the world, and they joined for luxury travel, solo female travel. It was never about business. So I was trying to force everyone into my one way of thinking. And then I just realized that that's something separate that I should work on on the side of House of Cocoa, and let Hawk just remain as it is.
How did you almost like eat humble pie in a sense, for a better term? Like, you know, did you have to go, look, you know, I tried this, but because I think that's another thing as well. When you're at the top, sometimes people can be a bit, be talons on of like, oh, I can't be seen to be wrong and might seem to be making these errors. But how did you address that?
Well, they're not errors, are they? Well, I guess it's like trial and error. You have to try things. And it was more like, we're just adding something new. We'll see if that works. And then you just sort of let it fizzle out. You don't have to mention it. You don't have to make a big song and dance about it. Just move on, pretend it didn't happen, and go back to doing what was working before.
So how do you balance the two? Somebody was actually just in the group. Let me give him a shout. Horticulture Apparel said, I launched yesterday, went to school with Laura. So you got getting some shout outs there. And how do you like merge the two? Like how do you tend to mentor people and still keep on top in your own business?
Just setting specific hours of the day that I'm going to work on each thing. But people say to me all the time, oh, you must be so busy, you must be so busy. And I'm like, well, I'm not actually. I've still like, I mean, it's a bank holiday today, but like every single day I've still got time to go out for a walk, read a book, have a long bath, and have time to just chill out. Because I think House of Cocoa now is at the stage where I can kind of do that in my sleep. So it only needs a couple of hours of my time each day. And then I've got all the time to work on new businesses and helping other people with their businesses each day. You just get shit done.
Proper boss, just get shit done. Do you have vision boards?
I do, but not like an actual full-on vision board. But I'll have one specific thing in my mind that I want to achieve at a time. And like, so for example, I've just bought a new car, so I took a picture of the car when I saw it on Auto Trader, and then I saved the money for it. But I looked at the car every single day. I visualized myself picking it up, what outfit I was going to wear, where I was going to drive. And then I saved the money for it, and then I went and bought it in the outfit that I visualised.
That's gangster, that. But then don't you think as well, then going back to the secret, is there's more tools to be able to do, to actually feel it, like just visioning it. You know, you do need like it's almost like you're climbing up the mountain and you're seeing the summit, and it's coming closer and closer. Like, you know, like with the visualization, but you've got to do the steps to get there.
I once met this girl and I told her about reading The Secret, and she read some of it, and she came back to me a few days later and she's like, I've read it. She said, it doesn't work. I said, why? She said, because I've said that I want to get this new, whatever it was, something new, and I haven't got it. And I was like, right. She said, but I just like, I put it out there in the universe. I said, I want to have this thing and I don't have it. And I was like, well, it doesn't really work like that. Like, you can't just say, I want to have a Lamborghini, like you say. You have to then be, you know, making steps towards getting these things and trying. You can't just put it out to the universe saying, I want to have a Lamborghini and then spend a week in bed. It's like, I want to have a Lamborghini. So what steps can I make to get there? And what can I do each day? Who do I have to become to get these things? And it's a process. It's not just put it out there and it'll all come. You have to take steps.
Do you get established entrepreneurs or business owners coming to you, like who come across you and are like, I want you to speak to my like team and stuff? Because it just seems like every time I've only spoke to you twice, but already I feel like I'm like going to create like the empire that I've always knew I would. Like, it's mad.
You should, you will. Yeah, no, I don't get businesses coming to me for me to speak to their team. I mean, the most recent thing is I've been working with this company, which is they're called Creative Entrepreneurs, and they're a network for creative entrepreneurs, believe it or not. And she's launching a membership site, and somebody recommended me to her to say that Laura might be able to help you like building an engaged community and stuff like that. So I've kind of been mentoring the owner of the company and like putting systems in place and stuff to help her, because it's interesting, like she's a successful woman in business, but there are things I've told her that she didn't know, and sometimes you need somebody from the outside looking in to tell you things that otherwise you might not have spotted yourself.
Does that work vice versa for you? Would you ever get anybody in to have a fresher look?
I'd love to. I mean, I haven't. I'm not the best at taking criticism, apparently, so but I would love someone to just kind of come in and say, you know, well, have you tried this? You think this would work? But I thought about it, and I just don't know who the person would be that I'd need.
Well, if you were to step outside yourself, then what do you think it would need? Because, or is that too a difficult question? Because if you knew that, then you wouldn't need to get anybody in.
That's a tough question. It's hard to know, really. But I'd love someone to just like come in and, you know, if someone could just shadow you for like a week and then say, this is what you could do better and try this. And I mean, I tried something recently. So I'm a massive like to-do list maker. So I'll always write to-do lists, but I think when I write them, I'm so ambitious with all that I'm going to achieve. And it gets to the end of the day and then I might not have achieved everything on there. So then I'll move it over to the next day. And then it carries on like that, and things keep getting moved and moved and moved. And then you can feel like you've not achieved anything. So I just switched it on its head recently. And I thought, you know what? I already know in my head what I need to achieve each day. So instead of writing it down, I'm just going to write down the things that I have achieved. So I just started just writing down the things that I had done. So by the time I got to the end of the day, I've done so much more than I usually do.
That's such
to the achievement because you've ticked them off already because you've achieved them.
Fair play. I'm a bit similar with you. I try to do to-do list, and you know, someone said you want to start with the hardest or the biggest one and then work your way through. And I always go with what I feel like I'm vibing with. Like if I'm feeling a bit more creative, I'm like, right, I'm going to do that. If it's all like back of house and I'm thinking, right, I'm going to get stuck into like, I proper put myself into what I type and post. You know what I mean? I can't just like flippantly use a template or out. Like I proper need to like, there's candles and I go proper zen. I'm like, right, you're getting a bit of me in this. You know what I mean? So it's mad. Like I could probably be a lot more constructive with my time, but I don't think it'd be me that I'm putting out there if I'm not. So I tend to find that lists do carry over to, you know, days to day. But what you've just said there does make sense because I align specific days to each sort of like areas of what I want to do. So one day might be my comedy, one day it'll be like the chats like this, one day it'll be my music, and I'll try to give at least the full day, because I think if I'm jumping from one to another, I'm not really giving any of them anything. It just feels like I'm flitting away.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I used to have like time block my day where I spend like an hour on this thing, an hour on that, an hour on that. And then I realized like an hour wasn't enough, and it's hard to switch the brain from one thing to another. And like doing what you said, having one full day on each thing, I think that's a really good way of doing it. Because once you're in the zone on that one specific task, then you can go on and on and on and on. But then if you're like setting yourself time limits and then you're forcing yourself onto the next thing, it doesn't always work. Yeah,
especially if it takes you a while to get flowing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just might be one of those days, but if you're still in it, it's like with the music, for example, it'll be like, right, well, I'll just put some on, and then it's just there, and then something will come. And I find that works. And I also, this will be interesting, you said like hour blocks there. Do you set yourself specific time blocks? Because I've come up with a 25-hour day where I do 5-hour blocks, so it'll be 5 hours, 2 hour chill, 5 hours, 2 hour chill, and then I'll either go to sleep, or if I'm proper into it, I'll do another 5 hours and then a 2 hour chill and then a 4 hour sleep, and then that
Wow,
works out to 25 hours of a day.
that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, that's intense. I don't think you'd be able to do that every single day.
No, but you're right. And but the thing is, though, it's like I sometimes build up to it. It's like I'll know that I'm going to do it, and it's like right. But also, what it is, because it's in the chunks of 5 hours. Sometimes I might just do one 5 hour, and it's like, you know what, I've done enough of what I need to. I need to rest now and just chill and just get like that. So it might just be like a 5 hour one day, 5 hour another day. But if I do a 5 hour and then in that 2 hours, I'm like, you know what, I've got another 5 hours, then I'll go again. And then in that other 2 hours downtime, if I'm thinking, you know what, smash it through, then I'll do it again. So
Yeah, I like that. I think sometimes as well, we can create these like time plans and stuff for ourselves, and then we end up putting like unnecessary pressure on ourselves. So like for years, I've been like a wake up early naturally, and then I like to have a bath, read my book, do all this stuff in the morning. And then when I stop doing that, then I start beating myself up, feeling like I'm failing or I'm not achieving out to do. And then you have to constantly have a word with yourself and say, does it matter what time it is, as long as you're doing what needs to be done? And you know, it's all good having these like time blocks and plans and all these things in place, but sometimes it can just put so much pressure on yourself that you're not actually progressing.
I agree. I mean, how would you recommend finding the balance with that? Because what I'm finding, I'm a proper loose creative, but discipline is like really integral. It's really key. That's why I like putting myself in some form of like 5 hour chunk. It's like it might take me an hour to get going, but I'll have 3 practical hours and then maybe dwindle for another hour. Whereas if I try to just get at it, I might do half an hour and then, you know, potter about. So like I wonder how you encourage like you're saying, you've got that rhythm there, that routine of your bath and your book, and that's you've got that, but not beating yourself up if it does slip.
Yeah, I think it's just you've got to try different things that work for you, but I also don't think that all 5 days need to be the same. So, you know, one day you might get up early and, you know, crack on with work straight away. Another day you might spend the first couple of hours going for a walk. Or I think as long as you've achieved what you want by the end of the week, why does it matter at what time you get it done?
Would you say, especially with yourself then, because I can imagine that you get an influx of emails, would that be the same with replying with your emails? Because sometimes you can lose half a day just on them.
Yeah, that can turn into a full-time job. I actually have an automatic response. So at the moment, I have an automatic response on a Thursday that says I don't check emails on Thursday because I'm having a technology-free day. And then I have one that says that I only respond to emails between 10 and 12 and 4 and 5. Because otherwise people just assume you're like constantly available all the time. And I think you've got to set the boundaries and not be available when they need you to be. It's when you want.
Are people responsive to that? Because again, I think there's sometimes a weird like pressure of, oh, I've missed that window because I didn't reply straight away. Or whereas if you set in those guidelines and the practical, because they're getting the best out of you, like have you found that people are responsive to that?
Yeah, I get so many people that just respond to the auto reply and they go, oh my God, this is brilliant. I love that you've set those boundaries.
Is there any other sort of like tools that you do that help you with your own time? Maybe not saving time, but maybe reserve your time so that you can be at full power almost.
Just making sure I get a good night's sleep.
How many hours?
Well, do you know what? It's funny you asked that. So I do feel like I'm someone who needs 8 hours, but according to my Fitbit, I sleep on average 6 hours. Some nights I might only sleep for 4 hours. Some might sleep for 7. But if I'm working on something that I'm excited about, then I can't wait to just like wake up and get on with it.
Fair. Do you find you wake up and you're like almost like jotting down like different bits because it's almost like your intentions already on what you're excited about, so these ideas are flowing, and then it's like you wake up and you're like, right, I just need to scribble it down, otherwise it'll go.
You should see the notes in my phone. They're just constant. Oh my God, I've had an idea. Oh my God. And you've got to make sure you're not getting shiny object syndrome and coming up with new ideas and that take you off your path of what you're supposed to be doing right now. But I make sure I make a note of everything and know that it's there for the future to work on.
Are you a write down note or a note jotter? Are you a voice memoer?
Oh, I'm a write down note jotter, and I still have a paper diary.
I was gonna say that because I know it sounds a bit like futile, but I don't think it is. Like, I think that there's something innate in our spirit with handwriting. I really do. I really think that if you write, it stays in there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a savage on my notes online on my phone because I'm just constantly in and out of them. But I think if I've written something, I know it's like, oh, I've done, like, it just makes more of a time print on my brain.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same. If I write something in my notes, then I forget that they're in my notes. Whereas if it's in my notebook, then I'll remember that it's there.
But then, do you find that you see? With these to-do lists, I'll always like post-it notes are the best for me because I don't feel I have like autonomy over, like, say, like a diary. If I miss it a week or 2 weeks, I'm like, oh well, that's done. You know what I mean? Even though it's just 2 weeks, whereas a post-it note, I'm like, yeah, I'm there.
I know what you mean. I've got this 2020 planner, and I'd missed, like, I forgot about it for the first 3 months of the year, and then I pulled it out of the box and I was like, oh, is there any point starting now? It's March. Planner, like, it's like £100 planner, and then you use it for a week, you forget about it. But I've just got a paper diary, and that's kind of all I need. I don't forget about that.
What about do you use your calendar on your phone or anything like that?
I just don't trust technology with stuff like that. I need to just have it written down in my diary. I bet there's been times when I've lost my diary and then I feel like I've lost my mind. So now I've been starting, like, write my name in it and my number. If anyone finds this diary, please phone this number.
Yeah. I bet people would, though. I bet people would.
I mean, if I found it, I would, but you don't know.
That's smart. Well, so I think, with the mentoring side, is there times where you have been on stage and you've given it like a Tony Robbins, like, and it's more about maybe less away from a business and it is more about like lifestyle?
Yeah, I did a talk for International Women's Day a couple of years ago, and that was all around self-worth and just like being true to yourself, and it actually went viral. The owner of the company that invited me in for the talk liked it so much that he let me and my partner fly off to his hotel in Switzerland to say thank you. So move over, Tony Robbins.
No way. Yeah, that's class. Is that something that you'd like to do a bit more of? Because I definitely think there could be like a TED talk or something like that. You have that, like, that air about you.
Oh, well, thank you. I'd love to do a TED talk. That's definitely on my mental vision board. But yeah, I do like speaking. I think that's the time when I feel the most alive. But I'm not someone who like plans and preps and stuff. I like to just kind of go up and wing it. And then you've got to read the audience and just go with the flow. Well, you'll know. You do stand-up comedy.
Well, this is it. I was going to say, so in this time, like, because, our venues are closed, so I'm not earning at the moment, and I've been, like you say, pivoting. It's like, what do I have that is a skill that I believe I could, like, teach people? And I think it's public speaking, and I think it's like being comfortable with either notes or a script or just going up there and being yourself, and, like you say, reading the room. So I've been trying to, like, work out how to get something like that going, but I do think there's a real art to it. I think there's a real art to public speaking, and I think that, especially in an environment like that where people are coming to hear you speak, I definitely think that the facade that you give off and the comfortableness that you give put people at ease, because you've got to keep everybody engaged at that one time.
Well, thank you.
It's all right.
I think
it's all right. No, but I think that that's something where you've definitely got a scope to progress as well. And if you've already got loads of time, you might as well look to step that one up as well.
Yeah, no, I will. I've actually just hired a videographer, and I'm going to start doing IGTV videos around like different topics and different trainings each week. So I'm launching like a new Friday video series.
Wow, that'll be ace. I think because, like, even this platform, I mean, you're in a completely different, like, business world. So there's loads of people that would, like, want to speak out in this sort of domain. I mean, even like with linking it with House of Cocoa, I bet like some of the hoteliers or some of the people in the resorts, or they'd love an opportunity to be able to speak about it like on one-on-one. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's funny because I've actually never done my own live on either House of Cocoa or my own channel. I've been on loads of other people's lives, but I've never done my own.
There you go, you see. If you ever need anyone as well to do any interviews, you know where I'm at.
Hello. I will. But yeah, no, someone told me that I mix mindset with humor. So I think when I'm like speaking, I like to just like keep it real, make it fun, throw in some humor in there. And even if you're talking about like topics that are a bit, you know, serious, you can always put a bit of humor in there to just sort of lighten the mood and get the room going.
I agree. I think like in my stand-up, that's exactly what I do. I talk about some proper deep topics, but through the guise of comedy, it allows people to digest it a bit more and maybe consider it in a certain way that they might not have been able to do before. That's obviously people are a bit more preachy or telling them, I don't know, it's just innate for people to switch off. But if it's said in a endearing and engaging manner, then people usually open up a bit more and see other people's ways.
You get away with saying anything and just say, oh, you know, it was a joke.
Someone actually messaged me that's got a term, like stroff, douchen, something like that. I'll send you it. Like, there's an actual term for it. It was probably an Urban Dictionary slang term or whatever, but like, there's a proper term for it out there as well. But no. Well, as I say, I wanted to catch up because when I spoke with you before, like, there were proper pearls of wisdom, and like there's just a proper boss like presence that comes through, like with how you carry yourself and you know the stuff that you've overcome. And then I saw that Forbes thing as well. I was like, you see, everyone's recognizing it, man. Everyone's recognizing it. You're properly smashing it.
I feel like you should be my agent.
Just use these.
Yeah.
Just use these chats. That's it. Just like you remember old school when there were like a Mr. T, like you'd press like 4 different bits and he'd do like different soundbite impressions. Just have that. Just like just my sound bites of you, like what a boss you are. Just like yeah. Just have that. In fact, the final one then is: do you think you'd ever do a book? I ask a lot of people that when I feel like they've got it in them, and I definitely think you have as well. So, do you think that's a side that you'd like to focus on, maybe?
Yeah, I'd love to write a book. I actually started writing a book about 4 years ago. I had this idea. It was all about sort of a modern day Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill mixed with every single modern day self-help book. And it was like a new, young version of that. And I wrote the first 2 chapters, which is all you need to do to send it to an agent to potentially get it published. And I sent off these 2 chapters and all the different ideas for the book. And this agent in New York came back to me and they said they think they'd be interested in potentially publishing it. I just need to expand on what I've written so far. And I spilled Prosecco on my laptop and I lost everything. So I just thought, well, that wasn't meant to be the book for me.
I knew you were going to come back with that, though. I knew you were going to come back with that. I love that. It's like, yeah, but it was just like, it wasn't meant to be. I knew it's like, that is such a style. What if it's still...
I do have, so I've had someone she's one of the writers in my team actually, and it's always been her dream to write a book, and she's asked if she can ghostwrite a business book for me. So we've got some potential talks with like Hay House publishers and stuff like that. So maybe something will happen in the next sort of couple of years, but it's definitely something I'd love to do.
I think I definitely see that. And one thing I always say, I think that I've had stuff where I've lost like USBs with loads of scripts on, and I've lost phones with like loads of like important notes on. And what I would flip back to you is, it's not that it's not meant to be, it's that it's inside of you, and can you create it again?
Yeah, but at the time with this book thing, I just thought, you know what, I don't even have it in me anymore, because I just poured it all out into this like thing, and I thought I'm never going to feel the way I did when I first wrote it, so I didn't even try it again. I just thought this is obviously not the time for it, so I'm sure I'll have another light bulb moment and try again, but we'll see.
Amazing. Well, I'm definitely going to be a fan of that. I'll write the forward note.
Yes. Yeah, thanks. I'll hold you to that.
100%. But perfect as always. Thank you for locking back in with me again. Don't be a stranger. Honestly, I want you to mentor me.
Hey, I'm here to help anytime. Just message me.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks,
Take
Ben.
it easy. Enjoy the sun.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Laura Bartlett there, absolute boss lady. She's the founder and CEO of House of Cocoa, and we spoke previously before when she went into a bit more detail about that company, so you can hear a bit more about that side of her life. And then this one was more about her mentorship and just all things of that nature, which is obviously what you saw in the chat. So yeah, this is Loose Lips. I'm Ben Random, and I will be back in 20 minutes speaking with Eddie Van Heel, who is the owner of the best name you've ever heard, for one, but also somebody that a show on Netflix used his face for a show, almost like catfished him, but he were in it as well. So I want to find out a bit more about that, and obviously life in New York. So feel free to join me at Ben Random, 5 o'clock on my Insta channel, speaking with Eddie. Until then, peace.